What's going on, everybody? On my X, coming back at you with episode number 6. My name is Faisal Khan, aka Goofy, and of course, I am joined by the usual crew, Hunter JJX. You know him as Justin Joseph. What's going on, man? How's your week been?
It's good, man. I mean, it's Sunday right now, so you already know it's been a pool day. Got my eyes burning from the chlorine, ready to take a nap, but excited to be here. Episode 6. We made it, boys. We're over 5, on our way to 10. Let's do it.
Yes, sir. 10 is definitely going to be a benchmark. I can't wait for that. And also, we got Wes Price, also known as Clutch, Captain Clutch. How you doing, Wes? How's your week been, buddy?
Doing pretty good. Busy week with work, with the casting on Saturday. Did some casting today as well for some Halo 5 stuff. Man, am I exhausted, but football started, so I got that extra bit of energy this week, and with that, I think I'm going to make it. So,
how are your fantasy teams doing?
Man, we're going to go 2-0, barring a unbelievable performance by Saquon Barkley tomorrow night, so I'm just crossing my fingers that he doesn't destroy my hopes and dreams. But looking good. The Baltimore Ravens won 38-6, beat the hell out of the Browns. So it's a good day so far. We've started off the season right, and we're just looking forward to the future.
There you go. I had a pretty good week myself. I'm sure we're gonna dive into that at some point in the show. But Wes, I'm gonna pass it back over to you so you can kind of lay the framework for today's episode and kind of break down. Actually, you said you were commentating the Halo 5 tournament, so I'm gonna kind of pass it on to you to kind of break that down for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of y'all that don't know, Esports Arena actually is throwing these Halo 5 tournaments every Sunday. And a lot of good players are actually playing in these, and a lot of consistent players are actually starting to play in these. And they're a lot of fun, man. Shaway and I have been casting these for a couple months now, I want to say. And we've had this team named Fung 4 Pete up until today. Fung 4 consists of Renegade, Frosty, Soul Snipe, and Druck. Those guys have always just been dominating. It's kind of been boring to just predict them to win every time because that's what they've been doing. They haven't really had any team to really combat the legacy that they've kind of left behind in their 4-Pete. Renegade's been picking up his weekly check, he says, until this week, where a team named Love God kind of showed up and took him the distance and actually took the championship from them. Love God consisted of Booba Doobu, Saiyan, Arctic, and Bound, and those guys came to play.
Dang.
Booba Doobu coming back to Halo 5 was something great to see, but it was really a performance of Bound dropping 25 kills in a Slayer.
No way.
He's nasty at Halo 5. He's nasty at Halo 5.
To close out the tournament and an unbelievable performance. Got to give a big shout out to him. He's one of those kids that's just grinded Halo 5, has the movement, has the shot to match, and really can separate himself even amongst the lines of Frosty and Renegade. And they actually took home the championship. So now hopefully we have a bit of a rivalry developed there. Liga del Mal showed up. That's the Hispanic team that competes with ADSO and Drift. We actually had Tapping Buns join them this week, so they were actually a pretty big force. A lot of good players playing in these things, man, and the competition just seems to get better and better every week. So if you're out there and you want to play some Halo 5 competitively, there's a scene out there, and there's some top dogs with some prize money on the line as well. So looking forward to seeing new names, new faces, and the competition continue to grow. But it's always a blast.
It kind of sounds like that Halo 5 underground scene has kind of been thriving on the low key. Like, there's some heavy hitters jumping into those tournaments and getting involved. So super cool to see that. Obviously, Boo Boo Doobu rebounding from yesterday and everything yesterday, everything that happened in the Pro Series. So cool to see them win that. And what was their team name, you said?
It was Love God.
Love God. See, so that's cool. They're repping that. I'll take that over Final Boss any day of the week. I don't know about you guys. But
absolutely. I think they caught enough heat from the week before where Saiyan tried to rock Final Boss. And because of that, they found the team change, and then all of a sudden they find success.
I hope you learned your lesson.
Yeah,
that makes sense to me, man. That makes sense to me. And it was funny that you guys brought up the NFL because, like, I was obviously checking the scores and stuff as today was going. I watched a couple of the games. I had to watch Tom Brady, obviously, in a Buccaneers uniform because that's just weird. And I was like, I got to see this. But when I was looking at the scores, I saw obviously that the Ravens had absolutely destroyed the Browns, and I was like, oh, Wes is having a good day. So, Faisal, did you check any of the games, or did you follow football at all, or not really?
No, so unfortunately, I've actually never been a huge football fan. Weirdly enough, especially because for the past 5 years I live in Houston, Texas, and Houston, Texas is a big football city. But I was born and raised in San Antonio, and that's kind of the excuse I use because we never had a football team growing up, right? So I've always been a Spurs fan. Basketball, the NBA has been my thing. So the playoffs going on is what I want to talk about. But I'm gonna let you guys continue with. We got the Clippers, and the Nuggets going to Game 7. Man, if the Nuggets can pull out back-to-back Game 7 wins down 3-1, that would be absurd. We got the Lakers already waiting the conference finals. We got Mike D'Antoni saying he's going to leave the Rockets. We got all this stuff going on. So I'm on the basketball side of things.
Drama in the sports world, right? Like it's so weird to have like basketball in September because normally we're just like waiting and waiting. So it was interesting. Like today, I was like, oh, I'm watching the Nuggets and the Clippers, but I gotta switch over to see some football. But I gotta see what happens in this game. And go ahead, Wes. I see you want to say something.
I have one of my friends in our group text being like, "Yo, this game is wild right now. We're getting to Game 7." And I'm like, "Dude, are you actually texting me about basketball right now?"
It's the playoffs. It's the playoffs,
dude. I don't care what season. You could tell me it was the finals and LeBron's about to win his.
Okay, now you're wild.
In a row. I don't give a damn. When football starts, everything else shuts off. I am focused on one thing and one thing only. That's the NFL.
I mean, everybody's got their preferences. So basketball for me and Faisal, you got the football. So, I think we got sports well covered. Glad that we don't need. Go ahead.
Right now, basketball for me is on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and potentially Saturdays.
Any non-football day.
Yeah, I'm just glad none of us are baseball fans, right? So, anyways, anyways, back to Halo. I mean, obviously, we were talking about Booba Dooba rebounding from Saturday. Well, for those of you guys that don't know, Saturday was the last Halo 3 MCC Pro Series tournament. It was freaking epic, man. So many sick matches. It was an absolute blast to check it out. So let's go ahead and look at the results here. Here are the Pro Series results for the last tournament, and right there in first place, that should shock you. The Last Dance, obviously, Sentinels in second place, Status Quo and Inconceivable were both third, fourth. the Erectors, 5th through 8th, Magnanimous, One Trick Pony, Burger Town. Right off the rip, there's so much I want to touch on, so many things that stand out to me, but I'm gonna throw it to Wes first. Wes, what stood out to you about this tournament in particular, man?
I mean, obviously, we got to give props to Faisal before he does it to himself. So, giving a shout out to the man himself and that team for being the veterans they are and to having the composure that they had and performing the way they did. I mean, Faisal, like I said this on the broadcast, Faisal tried convincing us that they were going to be like heavy underdogs going into this tournament. I was like, Faisal, like, you guys are all individually nasty at Halo 3. You've all been grinding. Like, you should win this tournament. And if you don't, like, that's... like, you should feel bad that you didn't win this tournament. And lo and behold, you go out there, you do your thing, you win the tournament. So big props to you. But I think in my mind, it wasn't really a surprise, but it was good to see, right? It was good to see that reassurance that like hard work pays off and people that know what they're doing are going to end up successful, right? And you guys obviously know what you're doing. Gilkey had a hell of a tournament. Bunch of big stat games from him, but everybody on your team was clicking. I remember individual plays being made by Trippy while we were watching your point of view on the stream. I was like, yeah, Trippy's actually playing really well. And it's good to see him play really well in the finals because that was really the first finals I think he's won as a 4v4 player. So that was a special moment for not only, I'm sure, you, Faisal, but for him as well. And then Goofy to get back on top after not being able to compete in a couple of these things due to team issues. It was good to see everybody kind of... Yeah, I said Gilkey, didn't I?
You said Goofy.
I thought I said Gilkey. But and then of course Eco Smith, he had some teams that didn't really live up to their hype and perform the way that we know he's capable of performing in Halo 3. So honestly, it's like everybody on your team came in with a chip on their shoulder for one or a different reason, and it was good to see everybody kind of prove everyone wrong and prove your worth in the sense of the scene. So big shout out to those guys. But enough about you guys. Congrats. What I was most disappointed in, and this is like
disappointment.
Not only this MCC Pro Series, but the entire MCC Pro Series for Halo 3. I'm really disappointed in Magnanimous. I really did think that they put in a lot of hard work and had the opportunity to win one of these, and they were never really found even competing for the finals, right? Like, I know that they won their pool, and I know that, like, they got maybe top 4 once, but other than that, it was like, where are these guys? I'm waiting for these guys to make enough plays to find themselves in the finals, to find themselves winning one of these things, and they never quite made it. And it left like just me wanting more from them, right? I think that all those guys put in a lot of work, and I want that work to pay off. But come tournament time, and felt like they never were able to piece it together enough to get as far down the road as I thought they would. And for that, they're going to be my biggest disappointment throughout these series. Sentinels, you got to figure out a way to win one. You're one of the greatest team of all times. Like, we talk about your legacy across all the Halos that you've had success. You guys got to figure out a way to win one. I know you missed Snakebite this past weekend, and that's a big piece missing from your team, but still figure it out. Find a way to get it done. They left a lot on the table as well. Status Quo being back was nice to see. For my final thoughts.
Yeah, awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, let's just go ahead and jump in. We'll start from the top. You know, we obviously have Faisal here, the champ himself. So I figure, you know, we'll do the post-game, post-show interview that we didn't get to have on the broadcast.
We were not able to do it on the show. Man, I was actually very upset about that because, my feelings, like, I was excited. I was, happy. I was joyful. I was all of those words. And then, Matt contacted me like, hey, we're trying to do an interview. Are you down? I'm like, for sure. Let's do it. Because I wanted to be on the show even throughout. But I know you guys had your schedule, whatever. And I guess because I was streaming, my webcam or my camera was being linked to my stream, obviously. So I wasn't able to join any of the links he was trying to get me on for the interview. And long story short, I had to end my stream and I still couldn't do the interview. And then I was upset, but now we can do it. So
yeah, as a streamer, I felt for you because like you ending your stream at like a peak moment where it's like hype, people are all excited.
I was like, no.
So, but we have you here now, so I guess Wes and I will get some questions in. But first thing I wanted to ask you, man, like going into this tournament, like we're behind the scenes. This is on my X honesty. Like, what was your level of like confidence going into this tournament? Like, did you think it was a sure thing that you guys would win it?
So I don't want to say it was a sure thing. So even when Wes was like breaking it down earlier and saying that, I tried to convince him we're the quote unquote underdogs. My like thought process towards saying that was more so, we're just a ragtag group of 4 people that came together and we put together a team, and that's what we're competing with. Not to say that at the end of the day, like, they're 4 good players and you can be competing for the win, but to say that we're the favorites or any like an Inconceivable or a Sentinels wouldn't be expected to win over us, I think is an overstatement because, Inconceivable beat Sentinels last week and took home first, right? They've been practicing, they've been playing. Sentinels obviously is Sentinels. Nothing needs to be said about them. So we definitely did. I agree with Wes that we had a chip on our shoulder in that way where, we saw ourselves as like, we knew we could win, but we knew that the other teams playing in the tournament didn't necessarily think that. So we kind of had a chip on our shoulder that way. And to answer your question, yes, we did expect to win. We played in the open tournament last weekend and we won that pretty handedly. We played in the G Fuel qualifier this past week, a few days ago. And although we did lose in the winners bracket and we qualified through the losers, I still saw a lot of resilience in the group of guys. And we ended up beating the team that knocked us out when it mattered, right? So same thing with this tournament. Like, we lost in pool play, we got reverse swept when that could be such a vibe killer for a lot of people and a lot of teams. Like, man, we just got reverse swept and then it could bring it down. But for us, we just brushed it off. We didn't even care. And it actually ended up low key, because we got second in our pool, we ended up playing the team that got first in the other pool, which was Catastrophe's team, and Inconceivable got second, and they ended up playing Magnanimous. So I know people always joke around about the status quo bracket. We talked about that in one of our previous shows. Like, there's always a thing called the quo bracket. We in a sense of the word, we got that, because not to take anything away from Catastrophe and their team because they beat Inconceivable and they deserve to be in that position. I just think we matched up good against them. And even though they're a great team, we matched up good against them. We played them before and we were pretty confident going into that series. So we beat them. Going up against status quo in the next series was a little bit, we know we're confident going into that series, but we respect all the guys on the other side. We knew it was going to be a slugfest, but we ended up beating them in a close 3-0. And, and obviously going on to the finals of Sentinels, that was a great series as well. So, yeah, man, it was just a great day. And, everyone on the team, including myself, proved that we deserve to be there. And then it felt so good, ending Halo 3 with a cherry on top like that, because like I've said time and time again, it's my favorite Halo. It's where my identity became established. And it felt so fitting for it to end that way, you know, even though we still have the G Field tournament coming up. But just in regards to like the competitive HCS side of things, we don't know officially what the future holds, but for the information that is public, this was the last Halo 3, you know, MCC Pro Series. So it felt great just, you know, finishing it off with the win, man. It was so good.
That's awesome, man. Wes, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it was kind of alarming to me when we interviewed Gilk after you guys actually just got reverse swept by the team that dropped Gilk, and he kind of seemed down, and he was giving us some like one word short answers, and I kind of felt bad for interviewing him during that time, because like, having been a competitor, like, don't talk to me when I lose, right? Like, I want to be left alone. I want to be in my thoughts, and I want to figure out how I'm supposed to muster this comeback after getting reverse swept by the team that just dropped me. So I was wondering, like, is the rest of the team like down, or like, how are they playing? I think that Catastrophe series is, to your point, the best possible case scenario you guys run into, right? I think like you need that series of like, yeah, these guys are good, you respect them, but you know you're better, and you know if you do your job, you'll beat these guys. So I think that was a very important series for you. The status quo one, a little bit closer than I thought it was going to be.
It was back and forth. It was
a 3-0, but it was a little bit closer than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Big props to Gabriel. I know he probably wanted to beat you and Gilk. Just having wanted to beat Cloud and Maniac every time I played them.
Yeah.
I'm sure Gabriel kind of felt that same thing. So it was going to be a bloodbath. You knew that they were going to put up a fight there. But when it gets to the Sentinels series, and I was like, I remember getting asked like my predictions on the series, and I was like, I don't know who's going to win this. I was like, I want Basil's team to win, actually. And it's not often I'll tell you I want a team to beat Sentinels because I'm so close with those guys. But it was like, those guys win enough, right? Like they're used to winning. But yourself, Trippy, like I thought that win would mean more to you, so I wanted it for you more. Going into that series, knowing that they didn't have Snakebite, they had Frosty. What was like, how do I ask this? It's like, did you feel like you were going up against one of like the most like top legacy teams of Halo's history, or did you feel like you were going up against like some friends, and do you think that like that mindset can shift the way and the confidence that you're able to play with during that series? I'll let you kind of like start off by telling me like what kind of a mindset were you in going up against Sentinels? Like, was it like, oh, it's TJ, Bradley, and the boys, or is it more of like, yo, we're going against like, I remember back in the day when I would play like Final Boss, I'd be like, well, I'm going against legends, like people that I look up to. And that intimidation factor can kind of alter the way you play. So I'll let you answer the first part, and then.
Yeah, definitely no intimidation factor by any sense of the word. I think when it comes, especially for Halo 3, I consider myself, I genuinely think I'm one of like the best players in the game. Obviously, it's just the way I play and the confidence I have in myself, right? People like Roll 2 have the best shot, and I'll be on the show saying he has the best shot, but I think the way I play and what I contribute to a team of 4 people is very helpful in a Halo 3 game. So definitely no intimidation factor. But to answer your question about if it felt like we were playing against Sentinels or just a group of good friends, it definitely felt like Sentinels, because number one, I'll take a step back. So in my opinion, Snakebite is one of the best players on Sentinels. He's such a vital piece to that team. But in Halo 3, even it's hard. I think him and Frosty are kind of in the same tier list when it comes to Halo 3. Probably most Halos in that sense.
Absolutely.
You know, Frosty is disgusting at Halo 3, and if anything, like when we found out he was replacing Snakebite, we're like, God damn it, okay. Like you could argue they got better in a way, almost, right? Because
I said that on the broadcast, not to cut you off, but I was like, it's great. You don't have to play against Snakebite. But if they were going to play, I go, you pick anyone in the world that you don't want them to replace Snakebite with, and it's probably Frosty.
Yeah, because then you look at the roster, it's Frosty, APG, Lethal, Royal 2. Like it's still, you know, and then in my head, like Sentinels is a team of 5, okay?
Yeah,
Sentinels is APG, Frosty, Snake, like they're a team of 5. So they can interswap. And to answer your question concisely, yeah, it felt like we were playing Sentinels, and especially they beat the team that beat them last weekend with Snakebite this week with Frosty. You know what I'm saying? So
Right,
Inconceivable
right.
beat them last weekend when Snakebite was on the team, and then Frosty plays in this one, and then they beat them going into the finals. So we were like, okay, like they're definitely playing good, but we're confident we can beat them. And then game 1 comes around, Heretic Flag, and they stomp us into the ground. Like that was I don't think I've lost a Heretic Flag like that in so long, especially when I'm like going full fucking. Excuse me.
You're all good. You're all good.
I was going like full.
What that means.
We could beat that up maybe, but we were going like full force and we just got beat pretty badly. And then going into game 2, we just, we said in our comms, hey, let's reset. It's a narrow slayer. We know how to play this. And from there, we just picked up our stride. So man, it felt like we were playing a tough Sentinels team. And, we respect all those guys and we know how much damage they can do on the same team together, and we just came out and stuck to the game plan and ended up coming out on top. So for me, I can't speak for everyone on the team because I know Eco's a world champ, and Trippy's doing big things as well. And but for me, kind of being in that middle ground role where I'm kind of trying to do more content and trying to commentate and still streaming, but trying to compete. It's like a weird place I'm in. So for me, it meant a lot, and to beat people, legends like you said, such as Royal 2, Lethal, APG, Frosty, to beat them in the grand finals when I know they wanted to win really badly, it meant a lot to me. So man, I'm stoked.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I mean, yeah, go ahead, Wes.
I wanna just ask, was there ever a turning point in the series where you went from an underdog to you understood that you were gonna win this series? Like, was there a moment in game 2, 3?
It was game 3.
For me personally, it was game 3 as a caster, and I was like, oh, they're the better team.
Yeah. So game 3, when I really felt that what you're trying to explain, like that feeling of, okay, we got this, like we're gonna win this series. Yeah, it was when the score was like 80-20 or something, and we had like full control, and we were doing such a great job of playing that game type the way I preach that we need to play that game type, which is just not necessarily scrappy, although that is a word that could describe it, but just efficient. Like we need to make sure we're low when the hill's low. We need to make sure we're in positions to help. We know players like Roll 2 and these guys like to be up top and sniping on streets. Let's try to cut them out of the play altogether by putting ourselves in positions where he can't be effective, stuff of that sort. So I think the point in the series where I really felt that we kind of got the edge and we were in the driver's seat was that game 3 Construct King of the Hill.
Yeah, I remember like watching it when we were casting it. It was on that Construct King. I think it was the first close street hill. Like it started getting kind of close. Like I think they got to like 70 points and you guys were at like maybe 90 or 100. And I remember you guys like made this gold push where like everybody pushed close street like you would expect, and then you went like open, and like we were in a listen in at that moment, and like you were hearing Eco going like, they're all weak in lobby, like they're trapped, and like from your screen on open you just see everyone converging and they're all dying in lobby, and then like you guys end up like blowing the game open off that closed hill, and it went to like 150 to 70, and like for me I was like, oh dude, like these guys are like killing it right now, so like have such a clean retake. So it was cool, and I gotta say like I'm super jealous of the fact that you got to play in a tournament like this and relive kind of the glory for a game that means so much to you. You know what I mean? Like for me, like I said, it was always Halo 2, and like I probably at this point I've kind of accepted that I probably will never get to play Halo 2 Classic in a tournament like that and get to feel that again. So like from us here, we were obviously rooting for you, and it was super cool to see you guys kind of pull that out. And it's always cool when you see the good guys win, man. I mean, Trippy, such a good dude. Eco, Gilkey, like you, like it's cool when you see the guys that are like so good and so genuine, like, pull it out and really perform. And yeah, there was definitely no surprise there from us. I wanted to bring up the Frosty thing though, really quick to you guys both, because I was actually thinking about this on the broadcast. Well, first of all, I had this random thought. I was like, dude, if Halo was 5v5 like COD, and that was the team where it was like Frosty, Brad, and those, I was like, it's just a wrap at that point. But I've always kind of had this opinion of Frosty, and it's a little simplistic, but I want to hear you guys' thoughts on it. So the way I view like Sentinels is if you're looking at each player and you simplify them down to their core, it's like you have Royal 2, who's kind of your weapon specialist. He's your sniper. He he gets it done, doesn't miss shots, whatever. You have Lethal, who I've always viewed as like your turret. He does maximum damage with his BR. He's all over the map shooting and helping every single fight. And you have Snakebite, who is like kind of their in-game leader, right? Like he's kind of their IGL, he's the comms, he's all that. When I look at Frosty, he's literally like all of those best qualities combined, like put into one player. When you look at him now, like he will grab the sniper and absolutely, you know, snipe just like a Royal 2, or like we saw at the tournament on Saturday, like when we did listen with them, like he was like in the comms, like guiding, directing, hyping. So like, what do you guys think of that? Do you guys like agree with that? Do you not agree with that? Like, I'm interested to see your thoughts.
Basil, you want to go first?
Yeah, I agree with that explanation or that kind of breakdown of Frosty as a player. But I think he is all that to a little bit of a lesser extent. Like I don't think I don't think he's as good a sniper as Royal 2, but he definitely is right there. You know, I don't think he is as efficient as lethal in some of the things he brings, but he's right there. But and same with Snakebite. I don't think he kind of rallies the troops just quite as well as Snakebite, if that makes sense. So I do agree with your explanation of the type of player that Frosty is. And at the end of the day, man, I think he's one of those transcendent players, right? Where he's just an anomaly. It doesn't make sense. He comes out of nowhere, finds his way onto this team with Snakebite, Royal 2, and Lethal and Halo 5, and then just goes on such a dominant run and gets voted by the players as the best in the game, et cetera, et cetera. So he definitely encompasses a lot of good attributes from some of the best players all put into one. So I agree with the way you broke that down.
Go ahead, Wes.
I'm going to give you a terrible answer that you're not going to like, and it's going to sound like I'm probably sucking to these guys.
Lay it on it. Lay it on me. Go.
I don't like breaking these players down like that. I think that when I like having the opportunity to like literally coach these guys and watch their screens for way too long, team with 3/4 of them for a long period of time, other than Frosty, he was a little bit after my career. What I'll say about these guys is I think all 4 of those players are generational talents. And I think that that's what makes them so special. I think I've seen Royal 2 be the sniper for his team, and I've seen him do it out with the best and be the best at that. I've seen Lethal do the exact same thing. I've seen Frosty do the exact same thing. I've seen Snakebite do the exact same thing. I think that's what makes these guys special is that we try to categorize them as like Royal 2's the main slayer, Snakebite's the objective player or the leader, like so-and-so does this, so-and-so does that. No, these guys all can do it at the highest level it can be done. And I think that that's what gives them the success that the only reason they've had the success that they've had is because of those qualities. It's because they aren't all IGLs. But I have seen Royal 2 in a moment of need step up and be the IGL for that team.
Yeah.
I think to y'all's point, like, yes, Frosty can step up and kind of like do everything at what feels like a higher level than almost any pro, but like each individual on this team is like separately good at like what they do. But I mean, like trying to define these guys as like a sniper, like it just so happens that Royal 2 is the best in the game with the snipe. But if for some reason Royal 2 doesn't want the snipe, they are not losing anything by having Snakebite grab the snipe, or by having Frosty grab the snipe, or by having Lethal grab the snipe. Like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you kill one with the power weapon, it's not like Clutch is there to pick it up. It's effing Lethal. It's effing I mean, I'll throw myself under the bus for this analogy. Like, you have to. I think that's what made these guys so special in Halo 5 is that this is a 4-headed monster. Like there is no weak link. There is no one that is ever struggling. Like these guys are consistent. They are on at all times. If one of them gets the railgun, if one of them gets the snipe, you better worry about it because they're just as lethal as anyone else on their team having it, as opposed to some other teams that we've seen in the history of Halo, like, for example, like a straight ribbon. Like you want snipe down with a snipe. You do not want T-squared with a snipe, right?
I think I have a little bit of a pushback on that. So I agree that at the end of the day, any dynastic, like crazy good team of 4 players in Halo, they all 4 have to be versatile players. Like there's no such, it's kind of like basketball where back in the day, you know, you would have like a big, like such specified roles, but in today's game, everyone almost needs to be able to do everything. Right. So I think in the similar way, Halo has evolved in that sense. But when you kind of really break it, and I think that's what Hunter was saying too, like when you really break it down, like the reason we're saying Roll 2 is the sniper, obviously he can do so much more, but it's because when they're all walking by sniper and the sniper's there, Roll 2 is going to grab it, right? The reason why Snakebite is that IGL categorization is because normally he will be that person. So we're trying. I think what Hunter meant is kind of breaking it down to like a T that way. But I believe I definitely understand that all 4 players do everything right. They do it really well. But I think each of them do have some of their characterizations that kind of set them apart from the rest of the community.
I think they have different play styles. I think they all 4 had different play styles. But I think like and I guess that from stepping back, like, if they all 4 had different playstyles and there's playstyles you prefer over playstyles you don't prefer, like personally, I don't enjoy like Royal 2's playstyle as much as I enjoy someone like Frosty's playstyle, especially when I'm like playing with that person. Like, but do I think that having Royal 2 on my team is less of an impact than having Frosty on my team? Absolutely not. It's just like, it's kind of like you form in your head a way of what correct Halo looks like, or like what good Halo is. And there's times where like you might be hypercritical of like what Lethal does or what Snakebite does or what Royal 2 does at times. You might say like at times they're too passive. Frosty's a little bit more of an aggressive player, and because of that, I think Frosty is better at what not. But I think that each one of those pieces to the puzzle are vitally important. I think like Royal 2's passiveness is also the reason he's able to impact the game at the level he is at times. So I think that like stepping back and saying like the IGL is kind of like on the outside of the in-game play stuff. I think that nobody's going to replace Snakebite's IGL qualities because they're just not on the same level as like a professional. Like even not, and that's not a knock to anybody on Tox or Sentinels. That's a knock to like everyone in professional gaming. Like you do not IGL like Snakebite IGLs, or
absolutely.
Like there's probably some CS pros that do it.
There's some Halo pros that do it too. Come on now. Snakebite just does it well because Eco does it so well over the course of extra.
Eco's the second best that I've probably ever seen do it. And also be able to keep up. Like the thing is like Snakebite. I think
Ryan Noob does it pretty well as well. Like Ryan Noob will be that guy who like his teammates kind of lean on him for making that play call and stuff. So I think Snakebite, we say he's the best by far because he's earned that right to be called that because they win so much. Just like we say Royal 2 is the best sniper because they win so much. We say Lethal is the best overall player because they win so much. So, but there are other IGLers.
I think there's standouts. There's standouts through history. I mean, like I remember in Halo 2, like for example, like anytime I played with Elamite in Halo 2, it was so easy to win because I didn't even have to think for myself because he was telling everybody else what to do at all times, and I knew exactly where I needed to be and what I needed to be doing. You know what I mean? Like so, there's definitely standouts through history, but I agree with you. Like Snakebite is that guy. You know what I mean? And
to that point, Ghost Ayami was a phenomenal IGL.
Yeah, Eric.
Absolutely.
I played my best Halo when I played with Ghost Ayami in matchmaking because he did nothing but boost me in confidence and tell me what the heck to do, and I just got to focus and zone in on my own gameplay. I think what separates the great IGLs, like the Ecos, the Snakebites, the Ghosts, from like the lesser IGLs, is that they're able to not only IGL their team, but they're also focused on their own gameplay. And I think that doing both at the same time is so difficult, and that's something
where a confidence thing too, right? Like I think whenever you describe those players as people, they're just confident too, and they're so assertive, and when they want to get something done, they get it done kind of personality, and that translates to the way they kind of communicate in game. So all the players that we're specifying, they kind of have those characteristics in their personality.
But us talking about like the staying on your own game too thing is like huge, because like I've been on a couple teams in my career, and you guys might all be able to relate to this, where like I've needed to step up and be IGL, and I've noticed that when I'm not, the team is in a noticeable slump. And like after one intense series of doing that, like I'm exhausted. Like I'm literally physically, mentally drained. I don't even want to play or see the game after one series, and you have guys like Snakebite that are just doing it day in, day out, every single series his team needs him, and like able to maintain their level of play, maintain like that mental fortitude. And like that is no easy task by any means.
No, it takes a special type of talent to be able to do that. And I think that those people should be called out and should be given praise for that. So I think like we've named a couple of them. Ryan Noob's definitely up there with you, Faisal. I'm right there with you. When I've had the opportunity to play with Ryan, I'm like, like you're a good teammate. Like you allow like constructiveness to happen and cohesiveness to happen through your words, and I think that that's vitally important to team success. So that's kind of like outside the realm. Going back to the conversation we were at, I don't know how we got.
Yeah, no, yeah, I understand. Like the analogy obviously is never going to be perfect. The way I kind of brought up was just kind of what roles they naturally fall into for their team, right? So like, you know, people that know me or see the stream or Twitter clips, whatever, they think that, you know, oh, Hunter, he's a sniper, like he whatever he needs to do. But like I've been on a lot of teams in the past where, I mean, even though I know I can snipe and I'm capable of handling it, I'll let someone else get it because I know for them it's going to boost their confidence way more than it would for me, right? Like I can still feel like I'm engaged and being productive in the game without having to have a sniper. Whereas I've had teammates where, you know, if they're not sniping, not getting the weapons, they kind of feel like they're not in their best mental space, you know. And so, you know, I've kind of have to shift my role depending on what team I've been on, you know. And so naturally over such a long period of time with Sentinels, they've kind of fallen into these kind of more, like I said, it's like a simplified image, simplified view. I know it's not perfect, but that's kind of what we see, you know, royalty with a sniper, whatever, IGL, snakebite. But like kind of a fun, like I just feel like off the top of our heads, like, so we like just talked about the IGLs. Like if you guys could give me top 5 real quick, IGLs. Wes, you want to go first? All time, just go.
All time, snakebite, Ghost. I mean, we named them, right? I think snakebite, Ghost. I think, gosh, man, it's difficult because I wasn't a part of all these teams. I think Elamite's got to be up there. I think Eco Smith is definitely up there, and what he was able to do with that Splice roster was just a bunch of ragtag kids.
Mm-hmm.
For him to be able to kind of get those guys in order without practicing a bunch, that was impressive. And then I'll throw Ryan Noob in there. I'm sure I'm missing a ton of greats, but like I said, it's difficult to have that outside opinion. You kind of need to team with those players in order to have that understanding of what kind of leadership they actually bring. But those 5 stick out in my head immediately, but that was easy just because we had that conversation.
Yeah. So
go ahead,
me, for my list would probably be, and again, this is completely off the top of my head. So first would be snakebite. And again, to Wes's point, we've never been a part of these teams. For a lot of the older teams, we never saw them IGL because there weren't Twitch streams weren't as common, so we never saw the in-game comms as much. Whereas now we see, you know, snakebite streaming and we hear him doing it all the time compared to back in the day. But I can't help but want to put T Squared in my list too, just because I always like saw that Stray Urban team, and T Squared is always like the leader of that team. And just, you know, so he's got to be on my list. Maybe not second, but somewhere on the list. So it's got to be like snakebite. I would put Eco second just because what he did with Splice and how he was able to, obviously you had great players, right? Shotzi and all the guys, but I think he was definitely that person, like the IGL on that team. So he's got to be second. I want to put T Squared up there third, put Ghost Down me fourth, and maybe put like Orion Noob fifth. That's my top 5
as well. Well, I forgot to say something about Lunchbox, but I do think he was a good IGL for every team that he was on. I think that he was always that vocalized leader more so than
he was, but it's hard to IGL your brother. You know what I mean? Like they obviously would get into it. You know,
they used to fight so much.
Oh, it was bad, dude. People don't know about that behind the scenes. Those dudes used to freaking get into it.
Stream too, even on stream sometimes. Back in early Halo 5 when they were winning and stuff, still they would have some moments on stream.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm gonna make the list off of strictly like players that I've played with, whether it be matchmaking teams, whatever. I obviously snakebite's on there. Eco, like you guys mentioned. I gotta point out really quick, like the way Eco was able to find out and like pinpoint what his team needed to succeed on that Halo 5 roster and like really play to their strengths was insane. I remember there was like a listen in for one of the tournaments when they were playing on Splice, obviously, and they were down in a game, and Eco saying to the guys like, guys, we aren't flying enough, we're not soaring enough, challenge, fly, soar. And it's like, you would never hear someone else say that ever, but he knew that for his team to succeed, they needed to play a certain way and they needed to have that aggression. Like who else in like would, you know, be able to acknowledge that? It's freaking crazy, dude. So awesome. So he's got to be up there. Go ahead, Wes.
I'll let you finish and then I'll add one more honorable mention.
Okay, so Snakebite, like I said, Eco. I got to put Ogre 2 on the list, man. I mean, when I play with Ogre 2, doesn't matter when, doesn't matter what game. Like, he's one of those people, like I said, the game is just easy. I don't have to think for myself. So he would be on my list, number 3. I'll put Walshy in there as well. I know I'm an old head because it's super easy to win with Walshy when he's telling you what to do back in the day. And then, like I said, for number 5, I think I'm going to go with Elamite. I think he vocally is just able to get people on the same page. I mean, you see him nowadays, like on his stream, like open mic and matchmaking, literally rallying just whatever random teammates he gets and telling them what they need to do. So I got to give an honorable mention to Kyle for the number 5 spot. Go ahead, Wes, with what you wanted to say.
I think a top 5 IGL. I'm not sure where he would fall on the list, but I think Flamesword did such a good job of being an IGL throughout his whole career. And I know he probably catches a lot of slack just due to maybe not having the same placings as a lot of these guys that we're naming. Like, I don't know if he ever won championships. I know he won a couple tournaments, but what he was able to do with the teams that he was on was big. And I think he was able to maintain the status he maintained and place what he placed, because a lot of it had to do with the way that he was able to construct a team, was able to have this team all on the same page, working together, especially that status quo roster. And 3 in Reach, like, they were not the most talented team, but they were very good together. And I think that he had a very big part on making sure that they were a cohesive unit and that they were all on the same page. And to that, I would give a lot of props to my guy in Flame. And I see that consistent with whatever team he's been a part of. He's always been that big picture IGL guy that has helped them be a better unit and a better team and a harder team to play against.
And his standing as a leader, I think, like, spoke for itself. You know, his standing in the community, in the pro community, like, there was not a single person that did not respect Flame, where he came from, what he did, and what he was able to build from nothing. maybe a guy here, there in a corner. Dude, so, like, I'm just going down this list, thinking about this tournament. I was looking at the team list right now. Inconceivable, number 4, obviously their first time not in the finals in a while. They're in the last 3 finals. Dude, Wes, we saw something pretty crazy on the broadcast. I don't know if you were watching Faisal when they played Sentinels, but did you see, like, the meltdown that, like, Boo Boo Doo Boo was having, like, during that series?
Yeah, so I'll let you go into it, but just from because I was obviously a competitor in the tournament, but so I would be tuning in every now and then between games and between matches, and I saw, like, I was watching that Inconceivable Sentinels matchup, knowing that we would have to play the winner of that, so we were watching as a team, and I saw Boo Boo Doo Boo do some uncharacteristic stuff and say some things and roll his eyes in ways that I personally hadn't seen before.
He was like swinging his chair and doing like all kinds of like.
Yeah. So I did notice that, to answer your question. Yeah, it was a little bit strange to see those kinds of reactions coming out of him.
What do you think it was that was causing that?
I think it's just from being a competitor. You know, it comes out. You know, obviously, when you see players like Boo Boo Doo Boo, the more of the, I don't want to say necessarily soft spoken, not that it really has any negative connotations to it, but he is, you know, one of those softer spoken kind of nice people, which is a great thing, just to be clear. And you know, to see him, I think the reason it just comes down to that competitive fire, right? You know, he knows that their team can beat Sentinels. He knows that they've done it before, they can do it again. And to watch plays break down in front of your eyes, it's just frustrating. And to show it it's pretty normal. You know, we're humans, we're competitive people, and I can be the first to attest to it. Whenever you know, I see something percolating in the game and everything's about to come into fruition, and then someone, you know, messes something up, or the other team throws a grenade that stops the play, and it can be frustrating. And typically you don't see him show it, but we saw him show it a few times, and to me it's good. You know, it shows that he's so into the game and he cares a lot about it that sometimes some frustration can come out.
Wes, dude, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that was pretty well said. I think it comes with frustration. It was obviously clearly frustration showing in his mannerisms, but it comes with the bar that he kind of sets for himself and his team, and how he knows how well they can play. And I think that he saw that they weren't playing at the level that he knows that they're capable of, and because of that, he was kind of like frustrated with the moment, knowing that if we make the mistakes that we are currently making, we are not going to win the series. And they were making the mistakes that they were making. So like that, it's very difficult to to kind of cope with that in the middle of the game, right? Like as a competitor, you have to find a way, and you have to try and overcome it. But at the same time, like when you play against some of these teams, like The Last Dance, or like you play against Sentinels, you cannot leave kills on the table. You cannot leave seconds of ball time just out there. Like, you need to capitalize on every moment possible in order to win these games. It's like, it's a league of inches, right? And every inch matters. And when you see just inches left on the table and Sentinels is capitalizing on those become frustrating moments that you'll look back on after the tournament's over, and you'll like remember, like, man, I should have got that kill, or man, Aaron should have killed the ball guy there. Or I'm not like specifically talking about a moment. I'm just making something up. Not that Aaron choked. I'm sure he did it at one point, but I'm just giving Aaron a hard time. But like, it's a frustrating feeling when you know, like, because you know when your team's on, and when your team's on, like they were the last MCC Pro Series, like, you know you're capable of beating anybody. You're blowing out Sentinels in the finals in a game 5. Like, you know the ceiling is here. You also, like, there's days where you get on the scrim and your ceiling, you can't reach your ceiling for some reason.
You're on the floor,
frustrating
right?
Days. Yeah, like there's a reason it's called the ceiling, and it's because it's the best you can play, and you're not always going to consistently be able to reach that. And I think that this was just a moment where they weren't playing as great as he knew that they were capable of playing, and it was just a moment of frustration that we saw as the series began to kind of lose, like they began to lose a grasp on the series, and like that was overcoming in his mannerisms. But I don't think it was just him. I think it was the whole team. Like, if you listen to the comms, I know we saw Boobaduba's point of views, but like you hear frustrated call outs in Ace's comms, you hear it in Fouls. I remember hearing, I was like, whose voice is that? And it was Fouls. And yeah, Foul went plus 22. Yeah, if I'm plus 22 and we lose, you're going to hear some tone in my voice too, I promise.
I think inconceivable. The reason why he was getting frustrated, I think they were playing well, but they were still losing. That's what was frustrating it, because a lot of the games, even the game where Foul went plus 22 or whatever, and they lost, they should have won that game. They should have won a few. Yeah, so that is what really drives. I don't want to speak for all the players, but as the player, that's what drives me crazy. Is we're playing good, we should be winning this game. How the hell did we just lose this game? You know, that's so much worse than just. That's so much worse than just playing bad and getting destroyed. Is when you're playing good.
I would much rather get blown out, dude, than have like a nail biter, like heartbreaker kind of loss where you feel like you won that game and it was stolen from you, right? Like, I would much rather just get blown out and be like, on to the next game, you know? Because, dude, like the plus 22, like that was one of the things about this tournament and last tournament. I was just like, dude, Falcated has established himself as just a beast, bro. This man is on he's crazy. You know, the numbers this guy's dropping every series, every tournament. I mean, he was like the top slayer from the weekend before. Like, so to see him, he was still playing at that level. And I agree, Faisal, with the notion that, you know, those games, it did seem like they were playing well enough to win them, you know, but Sentinels would make a play, and then they would lose. But I don't think in a tournament is the time to show that, right? You know, in a tournament, that's when you got to keep it buttoned up and not let it unravel, you know? So yeah, it was just so uncharacteristic, dude. I was like kind of like shocked. Like, go ahead, Wes.
Yeah, I'd never seen it, but it's like when you have success and then you don't match that success, like I'll say it from my point of view, and it's like every tournament after Nats 09, I would
blame it on online. It's all after if you win a national championship on LAN, every time you lose online, bro, blame me on LAN, dude.
Every tournament I went to, like even the LANs, like I think it was just so frustrating. Like it drains you, man. It takes the soul out of you because you know what you're capable of. You know, like you can win, but it's just like it's just so frustrating to not like be at your ceiling, be at your peak. Yeah. And I'm not saying that they like obviously I think Boobaduba and Falcated will be back there in no time. Like when whatever game we play, they're gonna be phenomenal at it, and that team is gonna go very far. But like it's just a glimpse at a moment where they've had success and we kind of took success away from them, or success got taken away from them. No one took it from them. And we kind of got to see. Yeah, we got to see that moment from their point of view, and that's a frustrating moment for anyone that's ever had that kind of success. Yeah,
and not to dive too deep into like the psychological side of it, but I think that's not a good thing. And we've all been there. Like player in any sort of success you find, obviously right now talking specifically about Halo, but it's easy to like the reason you find success in the first place is because you don't make excuses. You don't blame anything. You're just about the grind and you want to become the best. When people become the best is when they start using those excuses and finding ways out to justify. And not, again, I don't want to get too deep into the thought process of that, but I think just as a PSA, always stay striving just to get better and don't, once you find success, don't let that be a reason to try to like make excuses for a bad day or for a bad series. That's something I wanted to say.
I don't think that's what we were saying. I think like you said it best when you said passion. They want it, man. They want to be the best. They want to be considered the best. They want no one. You can see it when you watch them practice, when they play, like when you play against them, you can tell how much time they put in, like boo-ba-doo-boo, foul, ace. Like these guys want to be that part of that next dynasty team. They want to create something special. They want to be an icon in the scene. They're close to that, right? And they're on their journey into becoming what they will be, right? And it's great to see, but there's going to be bumps along the way, and the passion that got you this far, that got you the success that you have had, is also going to be there during your lows, which is just so important. And I think that like that just shows, like, to me, I actually enjoy seeing like those guys get frustrated because it shows me how much they care and how much they want it. Even if it's an online MCC Pro Series that people might play down, and that in 5 years from now, we'll be talking about these like Halo 4 tournaments potentially, like, or some people will be comparing those two, or whatever. Like they'll try to downplay competition at the time or whatever in practice. It still matters to these guys. Every competition matters to these guys. Every game matters to these guys. And I love seeing the passion. And yeah, you're going to get frustrated when you're losing, but that's what makes winning so sweet, right? It's because you're passionate.
Yeah, I think you got to stay humble and you got to stay hungry. I always bring up like the example for me that pops in my head, and he's obviously transcendent talent, generational, the whole deal. But I always think about Snipe Down, and I think about how different he was in like the early 2008 season, when he was hungry and grinding and wanting it, how different of a player, and just even the way he viewed himself, how different that was from, 2009, the end of that, 2010, and then beyond. Like he was a different person and a different player, and the way he viewed everything was so different from, obviously when you're grinding, trying to come up, and then when he found that success and then fell off, so. Yeah, man, it's something that happens, and for all of you guys coming up, like Faisal said, man, you got to stay hungry. Like Wes said, you got to stay hungry. You got to be on top of that. I want to dive a little bit into some of the stuff that we saw early on in the day. I know, Faisal, you were grinding through groups and handling that. Group play was obviously brutal for a lot of teams. But man, dude, like I got to talk about this Erector squad. I obviously called them out a couple weeks ago. I was upset that they didn't play in the first Halo 3 MCC Pro Series, which I found out was because they were actually waiting for Flazen to get a PC, which is super cool. Like that they were going to wait for their buddy before they could play. And then they come out into group play and they win that pool, which was like so sick to see. They take down Inconceivable, the rest of them. Obviously they ran into a buzzsaw that was the Last Dance, that just matched up. It was a nightmare matchup for them. They were saying on stream, like, we play any other team, we play so much better, but against them, they just like have us figured out. Their pacing is just so much better than ours. But I just want to give them a quick shout out in terms of like some love, for what they did. And it was cool to see another team kind of break out. We saw that, the 2 weeks before with All Natural and all the other open teams. So to see so much open talent every week, I think was super cool. But Wes, dude, we got to talk about BTH. We got to talk about crowd pleasers, man. Like, I see your face right now, man. Like,
disappointment, man. Get it together, Nick. What are you doing? Figure it out. Make it out of pools. Get it.
Yeah,
cool.
I was surprised to see BTH not make it out of their pool. I would love to, if y'all could refresh my memory on which two teams from their pool did make it out, but I know just from being on almost every day and seeing my friends list and seeing who else is on and who's playing, I know that as a team they didn't play much going into the tournament. But man, when you got a group of guys like they did on BTH, you got to make it out of pools.
Yeah, I'm gonna check to see what their pool was, but I do know that they like. Maniac went on like a Dennis Rodman, just disappeared for like 3 or 4 days before the event. No one could find him. Lethal said he texted him and like he got a response like 3 days later. Like he just completely ghosted, went MIA. So that's pretty crazy, man. And obviously their performance, they suffered from not having the practice. Go ahead.
It was
Wes.
Sentinels and One Trick Pony that made it out of their pool. So
It's on One Trick Pony again. That was,
One Trick Pony was most dope.
Most dope. Sargot, Employee, and
Speaking of that, I think
Wayne.
we got some juicy
Yeah,
TMZ style.
yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, TMZ coming at.
Yeah, so I could break down this whole pool for you guys because I was like watching it in the morning to see what would happen. My God. So like, first of all, like crowd pleasers played BTH first. Like that was a matchup. I was like, man, this is gonna be a really important matchup, right? So I'm like, one of these teams is not gonna make it out of this pool, so this is gonna really matter. And crowd pleasers goes up 2-1 in the series against BTH, and then BTH wins the last 2 games to win that in a game 5, right? So then I'm like, oh man, like BTH got this. Like they're gonna make it out of this pool. Then I hear this One Trick Pony team is like beating people up in the pool. So apparently One Trick Pony, who's like most dope, Employee, Sargoth, and
Phenom.
I can't remember the fourth. Phenom, known as Phenom. Sean, I can't believe I forgot you. Sorry, bro. I guess they played against crowd pleasers, obviously, and you know, I called Kratos out in the broadcast, but apparently I saw on Twitter he was like talking that shit to like the AM kids, like, you know, talking at him, doing the Kratos deal, and then they made him go 1-15 in a Slayer in that series, and absolutely bodied him and sent him out. So then One Trick Pony ends up beating both BTH and crowd pleasers and ends up making it out of that pool. Freaking absolutely insane, man. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I didn't
like
talk about them at all in the show, but they were one of the teams, you know, in the top 8 that definitely I was super impressed with, and I want to give you guys props. Congratulations, you guys beat 2, in my eyes, good teams, and you guys should be proud that you were able to get into that top 8. So just quick shout out to y'all.
Yeah, those guys are good, man. Like, it's not even like shocking that they did it. But for them,
it was for me. I thought it was shocking.
I mean, that's a stacked pool, and for them to advance out of it, that's impressive, right? I think, like, to your point, BTH I didn't think was as strong as they could have been. And I think that like most dope and Employee, like those guys are like forces in the playlist. Okay, like
they
I
grind.
feel like
they grind.
Yeah. Well, I'm not like, if I sit back in my chair and try and play those guys, I'm gonna get spawn killed. Like it is not gonna be a good time. Like I gotta actually.
You're gonna be that guy throwing up all the snipers on arrows.
Yeah, like those guys will throw hands. I promise you. So it was good to see them perform well in like a tournament atmosphere. And for all the smack talk that I've been seeing along the lines that have been coming their way, I didn't see any of the Kratos stuff, but I mean, I'm pretty sure we know of other people that have been kind of throwing those guys under the bus. It's good for them to kind of like to prove themselves in whatever way they can, and given the platform that we only have online, MCC Pro Series, like tournaments, like at least they were able to perform well in those, and I want to give a shout out to those guys as well.
And hey, who knows how? I mean, I know we're all used to just equating LAN and to everything. LAN is what matters, but man, with everything going on in the world these days and the uncertainty that lies ahead online, we could very well be doing online stuff for the next who knows how long. So we may need to start adapting to the normality of the online. I mean, it's gaming at the end of the day, so we're used to it being online. But I completely understand and agree that over the course of the competitive gaming history, the LAN tournaments is what's mattered. But just a FYI, everyone out there, man, you know, moving forward, who knows what it's going to look like, or what it's going to be. So it's going to be online. Get used to it.
Take it seriously. Go ahead, Wes.
Not to go on a rant about like talking about online versus LAN, like there's obviously competitive integrity differences when it comes to connections, but for like everything I see in the scene about people calling people out for only being good online, like you gotta wake up, dude. Like people did that about APG, people did that about Pistola, people did that about Sightdown, people didn't pick up Formal,
people passed on Formal,
people did that about Royal 2, and look at those guys now. Like
I'm one of the people
about me. People did that about every single person that you've ever seen come up and be the icon that they are in the Halo scene. They were calling an online kid before.
That's how it is, man. You can't even get back.
It's not a good look.
People that are good online. You've done it to people that are good online. It's just a part of the gamer culture, man.
I can't tell you, like, it still haunts me to this day that I'm one of the people that passed up on Formal. Like, he lived close by. We hung out all the time. He wanted a team real bad, and I was like, dude, I can't risk it. Like, back then you don't risk it with no points and stuff. But I was a bullet.
I wanna, just like from my personal experience, like Royal 2, dude. I had to convince Snakebite that Royal 2 was a good LAN player because Snakebite did not want to team with Royal 2 back in Reach. And it literally took me telling him, I'm like, dude, I went to what was it, Columbus or something with Royal 2. I was like, he's good. I know we got top 12. I know you don't like that. He doesn't have a great placing, but trust me, PJ, like I sat next to the kid. He can play Halo. I was like, the kid can play some Halo. Just please have faith in me and look at what that has come like.
So are you telling me right now on my X episode 6 that Captain Clutch is the reason that Royal 2 and Snakebite are a duo?
I had to beg Snakebite to give Royal 2 a chance. It was me and Royal 2 looking for 2. It was Snakebite, and Snakebite was trying to decide between like teaming with Strong Side and Crim 6 or me and Royal 2. And I was like, dude, I was like, PJ, they have like a sponsor and all this like jazz. I'm like, PJ, we are going to make more money at Nats. You need to wake up and team with us. I was like, I promise you, if you want to place well, you need to team with us. What did we do? We got 3rd and we got 2nd at Nats. And I created one of the most monstrous duos in the history of Halo, but I had to beg to do it. And Snakebite was so reluctant at first until he started seeing some Royal 2 gameplay. I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, this kid is something special. And thank God I was able to convince him every day.
Faisal, I can see it now. On my X, number 6. Clutch formed Sentinels? Question mark? No, I'm just kidding.
On my X, number 6. Blame Clutch.
Hey, and that being said, I coached Frosty's team at that Daytona Halo 5 tournament, and I told Snakebite and them, I was like, you need to team with this kid. He's crazy good too.
How come you didn't get a spot on the team? Why don't you just save yourself? Why don't you say, you know what, guys, this is going to be the team. Dude, so you heard it here first. If you guys want a God Squad, hire Clutch. He's got a monthly rate. He'll put together a squad for you.
I've got an eye for talent.
That's awesome. On Twitter, at Wes_Clutch, trying to make a team, pick his brain.
Exactly.
I've got an eye for talent. I know.
He'll say you're bad.
Yeah, I agree.
Doesn't have it.
I agree with like the online thing too, because it's always funny because I think we could more easily like it's hard to come up with a list of players that were incredible transcendent online that didn't translate to LAN, right? There's like a handful of letdowns throughout all the years. For the most part, the guys that were doing it and really impressing at a high level were able to go to LAN and translate. Maybe it took them an event or two, but for the most part, those dudes stood out. Go ahead.
We need to see Bound. I know we're just kind of thin air.
God, dude.
A name that comes to mind, I feel like Bound is on the cusp of being like one of those players. And, shout out to him again, kind of circling way back to the beginning of the show when Wes was talking about he was commentating Halo 5, but he won that tournament today, taking down the 4-peated Renegade squad and Renegade and Druk and them. So I expect big things for Bound in the future. And he's one of those people, I'm sure, Justin, that you were saying there's like a handful of names that you think of when you think of people that should be doing this on a big stage but haven't been. And I think he's on that list.
Yeah, I remember talking to him like really early on in Halo 5, and he was like, "Oh, I'm just not interested in competing." And I was like, "That's so weird because you're so good, you know." But maybe now that he's gotten more clout, now that he's on a better team, has more clout, like maybe we will see like the emergence of Bound on LAN, come Halo Infinite or whatever. And Faisal, we were talking, offline before we started this, like, and you were like, I know it's just an online, thing. I would just say like we just need to scrap all that as a community. Like online is all we have right now in the Halo scene, and I think it's we should treat it with the respect it deserves. I mean, Last Dance, for example, this last Pro Series, they had to beat the best players in the world playing in a tournament setting, off host for, they have to win off host. So I think, obviously it's hard to hold it to the same standard as like a LAN or like the same standing in your mind, but I think that since it's all we've got, we should treasure it and give it as much hype and clout as we can as a community. So I hope we can kind of rally together and do that. Cool.
Well said. Yeah.
No, but yeah, just to kind of give my final 2 cents on everything, man. I am so happy that I was able to kind of take a step back in time and just compete and play at such a high level against the best people in the world, and to come out on top with the group of guys, Gilkey, Trippy, Eco, those guys are all just absolute animals and monsters at what they do, and they perfected their craft so well. So I want to say thank you to those guys for playing so well, and thank you to everyone, HCS, all the viewers, everybody that's been watching and enjoying the stuff like we do. That's just what we live for. We're all Halo fans, and competitive Halo at such a high level is all we could ask for. So yeah, man, it was a great tournament. I'm so happy we were able to win, and we'll see what the future holds. But at the end of the day, it's all exciting, man. Halo Infinite, that new Xbox, all coming out. So it's a bunch of stuff to look forward to.
Wes, final thoughts on the Pro Series?
Final thoughts. Faisal just left us with a cliffhanger. We'll see what the future holds.
Yeah.
No, it was great to end Halo 3 on a good note. Loved seeing competition evolve to what it became for Halo 3. It even reached a ceiling that I think was absolutely insane. Individual players just really having such a great grasp for the game. It was special to see. I think we can always look back at this time as like a good period in between Halos and waiting for Halo Infinite to launch that hopefully we have good memories of. I personally really do enjoy like just the upsets that happened, the teams that were formed, getting an opportunity to see Flame, Roy, Hysteria, Maniac, those guys competing in was special to me. It was nostalgic. It was just great to see those guys come back and show that even with that much time off that they can compete at a high level still. And there's going to be some time in between now and Infinite, and I'm sure we're going to fill that void with whatever Halo it might be. I just hope as a community we can continue to grow and we can make the best of the opportunities we're given in our current state. There's a lot going on in the world that's affecting a lot of the way we're able to kind of manifest and evolve as a community. I think it's just up to us as individuals to make it stronger, to produce more content, to show more love, to be more positive. And in doing so, I think we're only going to prosper and we're only going to make things better. So much love and prosperity.
Absolutely, yeah. I love that, Wes. And that's going to do it for us guys here on episode 6 of On My X. Really quick, let's go around the horn. Goofy, the final H3 champ. Why don't you let the people know where they can find you, bro?
I'm joking. Okay, don't hate me. I'm sorry. No, y'all can find me. I stream every day, man. Come check it out. Twitch.tv/Goofy. We're, playing Halo all the time. Sometimes we'll hop on Warzone, but just have a good time over there. Pretty chill stream. So please check it out. Also, my Twitter is just twitter.com/Goofy with 2 G's. So you can find all my information on there as well. But thank you guys once again. It's been it's been a pleasure, bringing you guys all the matches that we did with this past tournament. And, we obviously keep on knocking out, bringing you these new episodes of On My X every week as well. So stay tuned.
Let's go. Wes Price, Clutch, man. Where can we find you, brother? Yeah,
we got Twitter is going to be Wes_Clutch. The Instagram is Wes Price with 2 E's at the end. And then the OnlyFans, as you guys all want, is ClutchFit. OnlyFans.com/ClutchFit. You know where to find me.
Ridiculous, man. Ridiculous.
Don't type that in because I don't know if that's a real thing or not, but it's not me. So.
Hey, Wes is an entrepreneur.
Hey, absolutely. You gotta expand all branches.
His brand, you'll find his brand in the crevices of the internet, right? So, and for me, as always, you can find me at Hunter_JJX on Twitter, Hunter_JJX on Twitch. I'm gaming and streaming every single day. Hey, maybe Faisal and I will get some duos in Warzone this week or something. I don't know. What do you think, man? Think it's gonna happen?
I'm about it.
Let's get it. So that'll be awesome. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Obviously, we covered a lot of the Pro Series here today, but moving forward, we're going to need you guys as topics. So I want to see them in the comments, whether it's on Twitter, here on YouTube. Drop some comments for us. Give us some topic ideas. Get involved. Be sure to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and we'll see you guys right here each and every single Monday, 4 Eastern, on my X Crew signing out. Peace, guys.